I am here today with Petra, who's going to talk to us about sleep consulting, as I know that that's a question that a lot of people have in with new parents. So, Petra, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this field of work?
Yes, thank you, Teresa. I'm a postpartum doula for a really long time, over 30 years. And when I started working here in North America as a postpartum doula, I found that a lot of parents were asking me questions about sleep. And they were starting to talk about, okay, I'm going to sleep train my child. And that was a very unknown concept for me. So I saw what they were doing, and I watched who they were reaching out to and how they sleep trained their child. And I'm like, no, there must be something different. There's something better. So that's how I got interested in sleep consulting, and I found a way of really being educated about how sleep works and what we can expect from children, and that every family and every child is different. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, there is, I know that there's quite a range out there of what people are doing. Like you were saying, you were researching what people were doing. Tell me a little bit about what you do and how you support families.
Yeah. So when a client or a possible client connects with me, I always my first questions are, how old is your child? Where are you at? What are your goals? And when we have talked about that, then we're gonna see, like, are we a fit? And is it a good time for this family to start working on sleep? Because not always is the right time. Like, a child needs to be a certain age to be able to do certain things on their own. Like, sleep develops over the first few months, and after that also. But if somebody would come to me with a baby of 8 weeks old and say, I want to sleep train my child, then it's like, well, let's give you some education first about what we can do at this age. Usually, when the baby's under 3 months, I like to educate the parents of what they can expect and what we
Hmm.
can do. And then when a baby is about 5, 6 months old, that's really when we can start working on independent sleep, if that is what the parents want. And with
Mm,
independent sleep, I mean like falling asleep on their own, being in the crib for a longer period of time, like longer sleep stretches. Doesn't
mm,
mean that they cannot room share anymore. They can still room share. But if they are ready to get the child in the nursery around that age, that is fine also. We can all do that. So there's a lot of things happening when we start working. Another thing that I want to know first is, like, how did we get here? I want to know about their fertility journey, about their pregnancy, and about their labor and delivery, and their postpartum journey up until there. Because
mm,
all this information affects where we are in a positive or negative way.
mm.
So usually in a positive way, but there might be some things happening in the postpartum journey that has affect things differently, and then we have to work on those things first before we can work on optimizing sleep.
I love that you want to get that big picture view, that more detailed, like
Yeah.
I think it's so smart to realize that sleep isn't just sleep,
Yeah.
or frustration with sleep isn't just frustration with sleep. There's lots of other things that affect
Yeah.
that. Um, and I mean, I know as a postpartum doula as well that, a an 8 week old sleep pattern is very different than a 6 month old
Yeah.
sleep pattern. So that's part of the education that you're offering families is understanding where their child's at.
Yes.
Typically, how long do you find that you're working with a family? Let's assume that the baby is in a good range to do some sleep
Mhm.
consulting. How long do you work with a family?
It's usually around 4 weeks.
Okay.
And within those 4 weeks, we get all the information beforehand, like, okay, an intake questionnaire, like a log of nutrition intake and activity and sleep info, and then we set up a sleep plan that I make together with the family, but they are comfortable with. It's not like there's a one size fits all on my desk waiting to be to be mailed out. It's really like made towards what they want and what they can do. And then we start the whole process, and it can go really fast. It can go, but I like to take it a little bit slower because if you take it a little bit slower, it's a little bit more nurturing.
Mm.
But some parents need things to happen faster, and that's okay. We can do that, but I like it to be, especially at this age, a little bit slower. So usually within 2 weeks, babies are sleeping independently on their own. If that is what the family desires.
Mm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is definitely something I did not have with my children, but I was okay. I was not in a rush to get my children to
Right.
sleep on their own, but it sounds like you really enjoy this part of your job. What is your favorite part of doing sleep consulting?
Um, there, there are a few things that I really enjoy. I really love it when I do the consultation with the parents and I say, okay, we're gonna have two wake ups to feed the baby. And they're like, that's amazing. Only two wake ups. That's so great because now my baby's waking up 8 times. And then after 2 weeks or 3 weeks of working together, they're like, when can we get rid of those two wake ups? So I like that part. So and then I educate them why we still need those feedings at certain ages because babies do not they need their nutrition because they cannot be without food for 12 hours. Their stomachs are too small and they are developing too much. So or not too much, but they are still developing so much. So the other thing that I really like is when I get feedback, like after a month or 2 months, and I'm like, this is so great. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my time because the evenings where we're looking at each other like, oh look, we can have dinner together, or we can have dinner with our older children, or we put the toddler to bed all relaxed and easy while the baby is already sleeping, or vice versa. If you work with a toddler and then, oh, the toddler is asleep and we can focus on the baby. So yeah, that's really amazing
Yeah.
to get that feedback.
Do you feel like sleep training or sleep consulting is something that every family needs?
No, no, definitely not. It's really what a family is comfortable with and what is working for their family. Sleep is not a problem until it is a problem for the parents.
Mm.
Like there is no, as I said, there's no one size fits all. There are no guidelines. There's nowhere to be found that babies need to sleep a certain amount of hours. They don't need that. These
Mm.
are guidelines. And it doesn't matter how they get that sleep as long as it is in a safe manner.
Mm. I think that's what I love so much about your sleep consulting approach is that there's no one size fits all. These sometimes there are programs out there that say this is going to work for your child, and I just it hurts my heart.
Yeah,
And so I love that you take this individual. Let's find out what your child's like. Let's find out what works for your family. I love that that is your approach that you take.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I myself like that because I cannot like I make so many adjustments along the way
Mm.
when I get to know the child, when I get to know the family. It's not like I hand over a sleep plan and let them go. It's like I give them the sleep plan, but I want feedback from them every day. And then we figure out like, okay, this is how my baby reacts, or this worked really well, or when I picked him up, it didn't work at all. He got totally upset. We're like, okay,
Mm.
we're not doing pickups anymore. Then we'll find another solution
Yeah, yeah.
to calm down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is the best time for a family to reach out to you? Should they wait until their child's in that, you know, 4, 5, 6 month range? Is it better to reach
Yeah.
out sooner? What
Yeah.
what works?
In an ideal world, I would like every family to be educated about sleep before the baby's even born.
Mm,
So that they have reasonable expectations about what they can expect from newborns and sleep. I
yeah.
work with a postpartum client right now, and she said, "I thought my baby would sleep in the crib. Why did we buy a crib? He's 6 weeks old. Don't need a crib. Could have waited 6 months."
Yeah.
So yeah, they don't know. So that would be the first big thing for them to reach out. The second time frame is when your baby can start rolling onto the tummy and back, because that is when their brain has developed the parts that they need for sleep. to be more independent. And also they can get themselves comfortable because nobody falls asleep. Almost nobody falls asleep straight on their back. Like everybody rolls a little bit to the left or to the right, or they sleep on their tummy. And that's the same with children. When they can find a comfortable spot and you put them in the crib and they roll onto their side and you wiggle their bum a little bit, like jello, they love that. That's well, just an easy trick. Like you when they're almost asleep, just do the jello wiggle and they might be falling asleep on their own. So and that is usually around 5, 6 months.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can people get a hold of you? You've given them this information. We know that you're a resource out there. How can they best get a hold of you?
They can, of course, first get in touch with you and say, hey, get me Petra's information. That's a good one. Or they can go to our website, Thornhill Doulas. That's where we are, where I have all our sleep packages outlined. Or they can email us at info@thornhilldoulas.com or go to our Instagram account. Again, Thornhill Doulas. That's where they can find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Petra. I've so much enjoyed learning more about your services, and I hope people will reach out now that they know that you are there.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And yes, anybody who needs help, get in touch with me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.